Joni Rotten here. I wanted to just read through this little paragraph here: pathologizing childhood and the marketing of stimulants. The article, this little section here, I'm just going to read this. The pharmaceutical industry has helped to promote the idea of hyperactive child since Ritalin, manufactured by Ciba Pharmaceuticals, who merged with Sandoz and became Novartis, which was approved for use in children in the 1950s. In an early study in 1975, it cataloged Ciba's aggressive promotional tactics in the United States, including presentations to parent-teacher associations and other parent groups at a time when direct-to-consumer advertising was illegal in the U.S. This is currently an epidemic of stimulant use among school-age and younger children. One survey in the United States in 1995 found that 30 to 40% of school children were taking stimulants. Prescription rates in the United Kingdom were also rising rapidly. Numbers of prescriptions increased by around 30% in 30 years between 1998 and 2001, and the cost of those prescriptions more than doubled. Although common stimulants are relatively cheap drugs, drug companies have recently been producing new and expensive preparations. This has fueled huge growth in costs of stimulant prescribing. Stimulants showed the largest increase in financial sales at 51% between 2000 and 2001 of all classes of prescription drugs in the U.S. The conditions for which these drugs are prescribed are now called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, or attention deficit disorder, ADD, despite the insistence of advocates of a neurobiological approach in a recent international consensus statement from Berkeley. The validity of the disorder is far from established. Critics have cataloged the wide variations in diagnostic practice and how definitions of the disorder have been widened to include more and more children over the last couple of decades. This was written in 2003, this article. Even the American National Institute of Health concluded that there is no evidence that ADHD was a biological brain disorder, although trials demonstrate that stimulants have short-term effects on concentration and attention. The recent Cochrane review found that there was little longer-term research. There was little longer-term research and questioned the overall value of using stimulant medication. The publication of the International Consensus Statement from Berkeley is an explicit attempt to cut short debate on these issues, and it is therefore of great concern that the authors were not required to divulge potential conflicts of interest. The pharmaceutical companies have been actively involved in promotional campaigns that have brought about this situation. In the United States, they have achieved this partially in cooperation with CHAD, which is Children and Adults with Attention Deficit Disorder, which is predominantly a parents organization set up in 1987. It is highly active in promoting biological views of ADD and acceptance of drug treatments. Material produced by Novartis and CHAD promotes the idea that ADD is an established neurobiological disability and that stimulants work by correcting the neurochemical imbalance. CHAD also runs national information campaigns and is currently organizing a campaign to reach sections of the community that are currently, quote, underserved in terms of diagnoses and treatment of ADD. It also engages in vigorous opposing any moves to restrict the prescribing of stimulants to children. In addition, it produces publications, supports research, lobbies national and local governments, and holds annual conventions and conferences. It currently receives around 20% of its funding from pharmaceutical companies. Link to this paper is in the description. I think, Houston, we have a problem. 2003, this was written. It's now 20 years later, and we have more than we had before. Something to think about.